Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. K. Anil Kumar, Assistant Professor, Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi. Today we are going to talk on module tribes, that is nomenclature, emic and ethic differences from paper Tribal Culture of India. Students, you will be able to learn about the concept of tribe. You will be able to justify the thoughts of various authors about tribes. You will be able to know about various nomenclature used for tribes. You will also able to know about emic and ethic approaches, and at last you will able to know differentiate between emic and ethic views. After the partition of the country in 1947, the tribal population as determined by the Constitutional Order 1950 was reduced from 2.47 crore in 1941 to about 1.79 crores. As per the census report of 1951, the tribal population was about 1.91 crores, which was 5.36% of the total population of the country. In 1971, their strength rose to 3.8 crore, that is 6.74% of the total population. In 1991, the total tribal population was 5.38 crores, which worked out to 7.85% of the total general population of about 68 crores. In the year 1991, the population of tribal population was 6.7 crore, which is about 8.08% of the total population. According to the 2001 census, the total tribe population stood at 8.4 crores, about 8.2% of the total population. About 350 tribes speaking more than 100 languages and dialects have been specified as the scheduled tribes in 21 states and 4 union territories. The states where the scheduled tribes have been specified are Andhra Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Bihar, Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh, Karnataka, Kerala, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland, Orissa, Rajasthan, Sikkim, Tamil Nadu, Tripura, Uttar Pradesh and all other union territories like Lakshadweep, Dadra and Nagar Haveli, Andaman and Nicobar Islands and Daman and Diu. Tribes are not socially a part of Hindu social organization. They are distinct based on kinship, wealth and power, ritual, marriage, custom and culture. They have been exploited economically and socially by non-tribals of the country. They were referred as a backward classes, which include scheduled tribes, scheduled caste, denotified tribes and other backward classes. These classes of Indian population have labored under different and distinct disadvantages in the Indian social system. They have suffered from social, economic disabilities and have come to be known as backward classes. The SC and STs are identified as a result of different lists revised and issued under the Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribes List Modification Order 1956. Tribes were given different names by different scholars on the basis of economy and also on the basis of geographical distribution. Tribal nomenclature. What is a tribe? What exactly are the criteria for considering a human group a tribe? Interestingly, but sadly, the anthropologists, sociologists, social workers, administrators, and such people who have been involved with the tribes and their problems either on theoretical plane or on practical grounds are still not on the same wavelength regarding the concept and the definition of the subject matter. From 1917 to 1931 census, for instance, the nomenclature referring to tribes underwent successive modifications involving primarily changes in descriptive adjectives such as aboriginal or depressed classes. By 1941 census, these qualifying adjectives were dropped. A practice continued after independence with the adoption of the notion of scheduled tribe, or as they are commonly called, Adivasi. Such standardization did not, however, remove all ambiguity. No doubt, with the passage of time, the differences on the concept of tribe have certainly narrowed down to an appreciable extent, but a theoretical discussion seems imperative to understand their nomenclature in proper perspective. Few definitions of tribes given by various authors. According to Imperial Gazetteer of India, a tribe is a collection of families bearing a common name, speaking a common dialect, occupying or professing to occupy a common territory, and is not usually endogamous, though originally it might have been so. In the Oxford Dictionary, tribe is a group of people in a primitive or barbarous stage of development, acknowledging the authority of a chief and usually regarding themselves as having a common ancestor. Ralph Linton, in its simplest form, described tribes as a group of bands occupying a contiguous territory or territories and having a feeling of unity deriving from numerous similarities in culture, frequent contact, and a certain community of interest. Whereas Lucy Mayer said that a tribe is an independent political division of population with a common culture. G. W. B. Huntingford, in his terms, defined tribe as a group united by common name in which the members take pride by a common language, by a common territory, and by a feeling that all who do not share this name are outsiders, are enemies in fact. D.N. Majumdar said, a tribe is a social group with territorial affiliation, endogamous with no specialization of functions, rules by tribal officers, hereditary or otherwise, united in language or dialect, recognizing social distance with other tribes or caste without any social oblique attaching to them as it does in the caste structure, following tribal traditions, beliefs, and customs, liberal of naturalization of ideas from alien sources, above all conscious of homogeneity of ethnic and territorial integration. The above discussion shows that it is not easy to define a tribe or a tribal society conclusively, and any standardization in this regard it is very difficult to obtain. In the Indian context, T.B. Naik in 1960 present his own criteria for tribe, which are as follows. Number 1, a tribe to be a tribe should have the least functional interdependence within the community. That is, the Hindu caste system is an example of high interdependence. Number 2, it should be economically backward, which means the full import of monetary economics should not understand by its members. Primitive means of exploiting natural resources should be used. A tribe's economy should be at an underdeveloped stage and it should have multifarious economic pursuit. Number 3, there should be a comparative geographic isolation of its people from others. Number 4, culturally, members of a tribe should have common dialect which may be subject to regional variations. Number 5, A tribe should be politically organized and its community panchayat should be an influential institution. Number 6. The tribe's members should have the least desire to change. They should have a sort of psychological conservatism, making them stick to their old customs. And the last, number 7, a tribe should have customary laws, and its members might have to suffer in a law court because of these laws. So, the tribal India lives in hills, forests, and isolated regions. The largest concentration of tribal communities, if anywhere in the world except perhaps Africa, is in India. They are known as Vanyajati, that is, caste of forest, Vanvasi, inhabitants of forest, Pahari, hill dwellers, and Adamjati, original communities, Adivasi, the first settlers, Janjati, the folk people, Anusujati, the scheduled tribes, and so on. Various authorities have described them by different names. For example, Sir Herbert Risley and Lassay, Elwin and A.V. Tucker called them aboriginals. Sir Bynes included them in the category of hill tribes, whereas Gregson regards them as hill tribes or wilder aboriginals, while Sudbert called them aborigines. They have been regarded as enemies by talents. Sedgwick, Martin, and Hutton call them as primitive tribes, and Bynes call them jungle people, forest tribes, or folks. Elwins calls the Baigas tribes the original owner of the country. The eminent Indian anthropologist and sociologist G.S. Gure calls them backward Hindus. Dr. Days and Das renamed them as a submerged humanity. The tribal groups are presumed to form the oldest ethnological section of the national population, hence, the term Adivasi, that is, original inhabitants, has recently become current to designate these groups. Now we'll discuss about the Indian Constitution about tribal identity. The Constitution of India under Article 342 Clause 1 states that the President may, with respect to any state or union territory and where it is state, after consultation with the governor thereof by public notification, specify the tribes or tribal communities which shall for the purposes of the Constitution be deemed to be scheduled tribes in relation to that state or union territory as the case may be. Once this list have been promulgated, inclusion therein or exclusion therefrom can be made only by the Parliament Act or Article 342 Clause 2. The criteria evolved by the anthropologists to characterize an ideal tribal community for theoretical purpose, however, do not appear to be empirically related to communities that have been included in the list of scheduled tribes. The logical implication seems to be that the communities which do not satisfy these criteria should not be considered as a tribes, still they are included in the list of scheduled tribes. The anthropological definition of tribe is a very useful tool for the labeling of social processes, but a scheduled tribe is a concrete assemble of persons recognized as such for operational purposes. The conception of tribe for the theoretical purpose of study of social processes and the recognition of scheduled tribes for operational purposes of integration need not be identical and under certain circumstances cannot be identical. For operational purposes, many people who are tribals according to theoretical anthropological conception may not be considered as scheduled tribes. Other peoples who are tribals according to theoretical conception may be considered also as scheduled tribes. The main purpose of the recognition of tribal and semi-tribal population under the constitution is to bring such population on par with other sections of population and integrate them with the mainstream of national life. It therefore logically follows the communities which are considered to be such as would require special measures for being integrated and for being brought on par with other sections of populations for operational purposes be recognized as scheduled tribes. Accordingly, certain communities are included in the schedule of tribes. This administrative action makes each community a scheduled tribe and entitles it to special protection and privileges. Notwithstanding the controversies among the social scientists regarding a universal definition of tribe and mode of their scheduling, the terms scheduled tribes, as they are known and described in the constitutional and administrative uses of the country, have been taken into account for the purpose of the study. These tribes are declared to be such by the President of India by the Constitution Scheduled Tribes Order 1950 and by the Constitution Scheduled Tribes of Union Territories Order 1951 as amended from time to time. Moreover, the words like tribes, tribals, tribal communities, estes, etc., whenever they occur, are used to mean the scheduled tribes as notified under these orders. Differences in emic and ethic approaches. Harris, in his book The Nature of Cultural Things, and more explicitly in his Rise of Anthropological Theory in 1968, deals with the contrast between emic and ethic approaches. The term emic and ethic are coined by Kenneth Pike in 1954, utilizing the last part of the word phonemic and phonetic. In linguistics, phonetics is the description of all speech sounds as they are produced by the human speech organs, while phonemics is the sorting out of these sounds in order to arrive at their distinctive differences. Phonetic systems are universally applied because human organs of speech are similar everywhere, but phonemic systems differ from language to language. Because sound combinations and distinctive differences are unique to every linguistic groups, in terms of cultural behavior, ethic would provide a set of criteria capable of classifying all data into single system, while EMIC would attempt to discover the meaningful cultures. Ethic is classificatory and non-structural. EMIC reflect the internal structural relationship found in specific cultural systems. According to Harris, the EMIC statements refer to logico, empirical systems whose fundamental distinctions or things are built up out of contrast and discrimination significant, meaningfully real, accurate, or in some other fashion regarded as appropriate by actors themselves. As emic statement can be falsified, it can be shown that it contradicts the cognitive calculus by which relevant actors judge the entities are similar or different, real, meaningful, significant, or in some other case appropriate or acceptable. Ethic statements depend upon fundamental distinctions judged appropriate by the community of specific observers. Ethic statements cannot be falsified if they do not conform to actors' notion of what is significant, real, meaningful, or appropriate. Ethic statements are verified when independent observers using similar operations agree that a given event has event has occurred. An ethnography carried out according to ethic principles is thus a corpus of predictions about the behavior of classes of people. Predictive failures is that the corpus require the reformulation of the probabilities or description as a whole. Emic studies deal with inner psychological statements and assumes that an actor knows his own inner state better than observer does, and that is also essential for the observer to know the actor's inner states. This is impossible because the actor's meaning will not generally coincide with social meanings, and the essential structural features of culture are generally unknown to informants. Moreover, human thoughts is sometimes rational and logical, sometimes irrational and illogical. Again, human thought occurs on conscious, unconscious, and preconscious levels. Inner psychological states are poor and unreliable guides. Thus, emic research will lead to unscientific results which are ideographic, idealistic, and particularistics. Ethic is monothetic, materialistic, general, and scientific. Let us summarize what you have learned from this module. Tribes are not socially a part of Hindu social organization. They are distinct based on kinship, wealth and power, rituals, marriage, customs, and culture. They have been exploited economically and socially by the non-tribals of the country. They were referred as backward classes, which include scheduled tribes, scheduled caste, denotified tribes, and other backward classes. These classes of Indian population have labored under different and distinct disadvantages in the Indian social system. They have suffered from social and economic disabilities and have come to be known as backward classes. The SCs and STs are identified as a result of different lists revised and issued under the Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribes List Modification Order 1956. Tribes were given different names by different scholars on the basis of economy and also on the basis of geographical distribution. From 1917 to 1931 census, for instance, the nomenclature referring to tribes underwent successive modifications involving primarily changes in descriptive adjectives such as aboriginals or depressed classes by the 1941 census. These qualifying adjectives were dropped and practice continued after independence with the adoption of the notion of scheduled tribes, or as they are commonly called, Adivasi. No doubt, with the passage of time, the differences on the concept of tribe have certainly narrowed down to an appreciable extent, but the theoretical discussion seems imperative to understand their nomenclature in proper perspective. The tribal India lives in hills, forests, isolated regions. The largest concentration of tribal communities, if anywhere in the world except perhaps Africa, or is in India. They are known as Vannajati, Vanvasi, Pahari, Adam Jati, Adivasi, Janjati, Anchut Jati, and so on. Various authorities have described them by different names. Sir Herbert Risley and Lassie Elwin A.V. Thakkar called them aboriginals. Sir Baynes included them in the category of hill tribes. Gibson regards them as a hill tribes or wilder aboriginals, while Sobert called them aborigines. They have been regarded as animist by Talent Sedgwick. Martin and Hutton call them as primitive tribes, and Baynes called them jungle people, forest tribes, or folks. Elwin calls the Baigas tribes the original owners of the country. The eminent Indian anthropologist and sociologist G.S. Ghure calls them backward Hindus. Dr. Days and Das renamed them as a submerged humanity. The tribal groups are presumed to form the oldest ethnological section of the national population, hence the term Adivasis, that is original inhabitants, has recently become current to designate these groups. Thank you.